Thank you, Honorable Meshoe.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. And thank you, Minister. You partly answered the question I was going to ask. We all know that government cannot create 11 million new jobs, opportunities by 2020, as envisaged in the National Development Plan. What government can and should do, as the Minister has correctly said, is to create a climate that is conducive for the private sector to create new jobs. Among other things, government should ensure that crime levels are drastically reduced, ensure that there is a clear policy certainty, and eradicate corruption. And lastly, ensure that political stability is there in the country, as you said. But what I want to know from you, Honorable Minister, is what is government doing to address some of these critical issues? Because some of them have not yet been properly addressed, in order to attract investors who will come to help create the jobs we need for our people. Thank you.
Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Chair. I think the emphasis from the Honorable Member is around issues of corruption and crime in the country. You'll recall that there is what we call making South Africa safe and make South Africans feel safe. We're trying our best. There are structures which have been put in place in addition to within the South African Police Service itself. You have a directorate which deals with serious crimes to show and to demonstrate our political will to deal with issues of corruption. You have the anti-corruption task team, which is a multidisciplinary task team which deals with issues of corruption. So we do try as much as is possible to work together and collaborate. We've also acknowledged, by the way, that corruption is not just in the public service, it is also in the private sector. There is always collusion between the private sector and the public service, and therefore it's important that internally, even within the public service itself, you have structures that deal with issues of corruption. Of course, I do want to acknowledge that upfront, that sometimes we take quite long to finalize cases, but what is important, if you look at some of our commercial courts currently, there's a backlog of cases. There are many, many cases which have gone through the commercial courts anyway, which point to the fact that something is done about corruption in the country. And once you are seen to be doing something about corruption and crime, it then increases the levels of confidence in the country.
Thank you, Minister.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.